Africa, the second largest continent, and the Guinness World title holder for the largest continent, hottest continent. I'm sorry, I don't know why I've been struggling trying to make one episode. Anyways, home the formidable killers just ready to kill. Let's start our 72 dangerous animals. First up on the 72 is a spiky killer, the porcupine. The largest species of porcupine in the continent of Africa can weigh up to 60 pounds. That's almost as heavy as I am. And I'm around 92 pounds. That's close to it. The porcupine is not as dangerous as most people think. Let's just get one myth out of the room. Porcupines can't shoot their quills at you. Yes, we've all seen cartoons as a kid, and some of us might still be kids. Like me, I'm only 12. And you'll see a porcupine turn its butt around and shoot quills at you. Well, that's not true. Porcupines can stab you with their quills, yes, but they can't shoot their quills. Only some creatures can shoot some sort of weapon. Like, if you get stabbed by a porcupine, you immediately have to run to the hospital. Porcupines are more dangerous than you actually think. If you're unlucky enough or are stupid enough to mess around with a porcupine and you get stabbed with the quills, they're actually called quills, not spikes. For some younger audiences, you immediately have to run to the hospital. First of all, if you get stabbed by a porcupine, don't just try to pull it out, you idiot. You're not really gonna do anything except hurt yourself more, and you might have a higher chance of getting more bacteria. Just don't try that. The best option for you to do is to pry it out. Get some pliers, grab onto the quill, and shake a little bit. Once it's loose enough, then you can pull it out. But don't just grab onto it and try to pull it out. It's immediately going to break the quill, and the quill's going to be stuck. There's basically nothing you can do. You'll be a goner. Yes, even though porcupines' quills don't inject venom, or they're not poisonous, but they can carry some bacteria on the quills. Honestly, do you think the porcupine's clean? So run to the hospital and let them pull it out. And don't really try to pull the quill out. But if you're an idiot and you decide to pull the quill out, just quickly run to the hospital. They might actually have a chance to save you. The porcupine, quills in the top for now. But now, the largest land mammal on the planet, the African elephant, the largest creature in Africa. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about giraffes? Aren't they taller? I used to think that too. I used to think giraffes are taller, so they're bigger. But in science, an animal's size is all about its weight. That's why the blue whale is the largest creature existing today, because it outweighs all the animals, even the largest dinosaur, Brontosaurus, a titanosaur from India. But we're going to stop talking about dinosaurs. Now, there is some differences between the African and the Asian elephant. First of all, both males and females in the African species sport tusks. I don't think I said that right, but okay, I tried. Have tusks, and they wouldn't be shy if they wanted to impale you with them tusks. And I know what you're thinking. I'm not a copycat. of zest for nature. I don't want to copy. I don't want to seem like the copycat. I'm not just going on to his channel and I'm not going on to other people's channels and producing other stuff. Anyways, but it wasn't always up for the elephants. Elephants were used to be taken away from their mothers at young to circuses where they would be abused to perform for people. And once the elephants were like, what are these hairless animals going to do with us? And try and fight back, they get put down. Yes, I don't know how they put down an elephant without dying, but I guess they do it. And even after it was illegal to have elephants, lions, and other creatures at circuses, it still wouldn't stop. Elephants were hunted to near extinction, but now elephants are a protected species, and their numbers are slowly growing back. Now back to the differences of African and Asian elephants. Asian elephants, back to the tusks. Asian elephants, only the males have tusks. And also, African elephants have much bigger ears, much larger. The largest species of elephant, the African bush elephant, could easily send you to the hospital. The elephant charges in the top, pushing our quiller down to second. Now, a close cousin of the elephant that you might be surprised is in episode 1. Excuse me, I just ate. The African rhino. Many rhinos are highly dangerous, but the white rhino is the most dangerous. This formidable beast, the larger specimens of white rhinos, can literally weigh up to 3,700 tons. Pounds. And they are dangerous. It doesn't matter if you're a jeep or a butterfly. If you dare pose a threat to a rhino, it's gonna charge. The rhino is highly dangerous. We all know rhinos can be dangerous, but some Indian rhino species have been more known to be more aggressive than their bigger African cousin. The largest species of rhinos, I already said this earlier, the white rhino is highly dangerous and could easily send you to the hospital. Just like I said earlier, doesn't matter if you're a butterfly or a jeep. If you think you pose a threat to the rhino, you ain't. You ain't a threat to the rhino. The rhino's a threat to you, you idiot. The rhino could easily charge. But they're just like their bigger cousins, the elephant. It's not all up for them right now. These formidable beasts are close to endangered. The Western African rhino has only 2 specimens left. Sorry, I just kicked my cricket container. You already met my pet lizard Robin during that shed video. Yeah. Luckily, none of the crickets fell out. I just kicked it. I didn't kick it over and it exploded. Anyways, the African rhino is still dangerous, even though they aren't as plentiful as elephants. I suck at talking today. The African rhino, the white rhino, charges in, but it can't knock its bigger cousin off top spot. The African rhino, the white rhino, makes second, pushing the porcupine down to third. Next up, it may look like it's a hyena, but it's actually not. The first canine in this series. Oh, never mind. Okay, the largest constrictor. I'm an idiot. No, I'm not. My mom wants me to be positive. Anyways, let's get back. the African rock python, the largest constrictor in Africa. This constrictor easily can kill a human being and squeeze it to death. Sorry, I'm not good at talking today. This African killer is ready to put itself into the mix. The first snake in the 72 Dangerous Animals Africa. Now, a formidable killer ready to squeeze the life out of you. They're not as famous as their bigger cousins, which are the anacondas, the reticulated python, the longest snake, and the Burmese python, but they're as dangerous. This constrictor will grab you and wrap around and around and around and around you. And once they squeeze you, either your heart stops or you pass out from the lack of oxygen. Then they will swallow. And the African rock python has many different prey items. It doesn't care if it's a rat. Some smaller specimens hunt rats and creatures like rats and chinchillas. I don't think chinchillas live in Africa, but okay. But larger specimens have been known to take wild warthogs out, which will be featured later in the 72, and gazelles, which won't actually. It's surprising. These constrictors use their bodies at work, using something called bondage, basically constricting, where they wrap around and squeeze it to death. Their two hunting tactics are, for smaller specimens, they wait on the ground, waiting for the rats to come by, just like the Gavoon viper, which is also going to be featured later. And once they see it, they'll strike. For larger specimens, deciding they want to take out a warthog or our giant gazelles, they'll swim in water and wait for the prey to come towards it, just like crocodiles. And crocodiles are going to be featured, so stick tuned to that. This constrictor will grab you and squeeze you to death. The African rock python only comes in at third, pushing our deadly quiller to fourth. The elephant, rhino, still stay on top. I'm sorry this episode's not going to be as great as the rest of them. Next up, it looks closely related to a hyena, but it's actually not. Finally, the dogs. The African wild dogs can weigh up around, with most of them can weigh up to toddlers. Besides, some toddlers, some juniors. Some of them can weigh up to, most of the time these guys weigh up to this, they weigh all the way to a baby toddler. Larger specimens can weigh up to all the way to some 12-year-olds like me. The African wild dog. Don't get it confused with its cousin. It's not actual true cousin, hyenas. There are many different types of canines, and the African wild dog is one of them. But its closer cousins with wolves, coyotes, and dingoes. Then it's actually related to hyenas. This formidable beast is highly aggressive and can be really dangerous. These creatures hunt all the way from little bunnies to being even daring enough to take out zebra. That doesn't sound as intimidating. Zebras, they don't sound intimidating, but really they are the zoo creature that causes the most attacks And yes, the zebra will be featured later. African wild dog hunts very similar to Epicyon, the largest canine of all time. Epicyon would have hunted in a similar way to African wild dogs. I already said that. Oh my god, I'm bad at talking today. The African wild dog and its pack would chase down a creature the size, like gazelles and other things. They'll chase it down, and once the creature gets tired, the African wild dogs all together would attack, bite it, and killing it. A human would be easy prey for these beasts. The African wild dog charges in and takes bronze, pushing our constrictor to 4 and quiller to 5. The elephant still holds top due to its massive massive tusks and trunk and being smart. And the rhino charges in at second. Next up, the fastest fish in the fresh waters. The common tigerfish is a highly skilled, dangerous beast. Some can weigh near the same size as some toddlers. The tigerfish, the common tigerfish, don't be confused with the Goliath tigerfish, which will be featured later in the 72. But the tigerfish, there are many differences between it and it's the bigger member of the family, Goliath tigers. Goliath tigers aren't as fast as common tigerfish. Common tigerfish are more built torpedo, like the fastest shark, mako, which will be featured later in the 72. How many times have I said featured later? This highly fast, formidable killer could swim up around 20 miles per hour, almost close to some other fish in salt waters. Some sailfish, actually. They're actually more closely related to bass and are ready to chomp down onto you. In theory, if these guys hunt like piranhas, which they actually do, they could easily defeat a human. Say an elderly man or a young child wanders into a river, and then there's a pack of starving tigerfish. Those tigerfish would swim up to the little kid, grab it, and drag it. They would attack like piranhas and feed. But most of the time, tigerfish don't attack larger prey than they actually will. The more streamlined common tigerfish, which we're featured right now, actually can jump out of the water and grab fish. They're actually one of the few, they can jump out of water and bite birds. Tigerfish are one of the few fish that actually actively hunts birds. Some other fish, whales, catfish, tigerfish, and in rare occasions, tiger shark, in rare occasions, monkfish. Only the tiger shark will be featured later. And some giant trevallies when some young seagulls are learning how to fly. But none of them can compare to the aggressive common tigerfish. The tigerfish comes in and makes 4, pushing our constrictor to 5 and porcupine 6. The top 3 hold the lineup of canine, rhino, and elephant. Now, the largest ant in Africa. Jeez, I should have called this Clash of Titans. Hint, hint, at 72 dangerous animals prehistory. No, I'm joking. The army ants, the largest African ants, and the Guinness World, and they also hold the title for the longest jaws. Only soldiers of the army ants have these massive jaws. The gatherers and queens, kings, and all those they all don't have it and look more like normal ants. These ants can easily take out humans if they wanted to, but they most likely won't attack massive prey like us. These bad ants are closely related to hell ants, an extinct species member group of ants. Instead of having horizontal jaws like all ants living today, hell ants had vertical jaws. That means their jaws went up and down instead of side to side. Just like how killer whales' tails go up and down and not side to side like sharks, which will both be featured later. How many times I can say that? These guys, army ants, are not joking around. They'll take out anything they get. Common prey items for army ants are lizards, snakes, and small mammals, and sometimes even birds. These guys are so bad, they literally could take out. They love to attack wasps' nests. The wasps can't do anything. One fact about army ants is they don't really make nests. Instead, they find a perfect area and just walk all over each other. And that's their nest. Just imagine if humans made a house out of humans. That would be madness. But these guys also love to take out turtles. Yes, you heard me. Even the armor-plated turtles are not safe. And one of the most armor-plated animals of all time, crabs. Any land crab that stumbles in the territory of army ants can face its demise. The army ants charge in the top. Not quite. Sadly for them, not quite in the top. They're not even making it high into this list. Only coming in at 6, pushing our quiller down the last. That leaves the African rock python at 5th, tigerfish 2nd, African wild dog 3rd, rhino 2nd, and our chapter's winner, the African elephant. It's our first animal making it into the fearsome finalists. But who's next? A spitting cobra faces off against another snake. Angry apes clash with hunting jackals. And what's next after all of that? Just a little dose of sharks and mongooses in the 72 Dangerous Animals, Africa.